The factory was dead silent. Grease-stained men, covered in soot, stood frozen, watching the tiny 17-year-old girl with braids and ripped jeans tighten the final bolt on a 1969 prototype engine nobody had touched in years. Her fingers trembled. Then she hit the ignition. The old beast roared to life, louder and cleaner than anything they'd ever heard. The foreman's jaw dropped. Someone whispered, "That's impossible." Then the boss stepped forward and said, "Where the hell did you learn that?" She looked up, calm and fearless. "My daddy taught me, and you fired him last week." It all started on a scorching June morning in Detroit, inside one of the city's last remaining classic engine manufacturing plants, Turner Engineering Corp., run by an uptight, old-school CEO named Grant Whitmore. He didn't believe in second chances, especially for anyone without a college degree. In the corner of the parking lot, Maya Brooks, the 17-year-old daughter of Turner's best former mechanic, stood staring at the factory doors. Her dad, Raymond Ray Brooks, had worked here for over 2 decades until Grant fired him for questioning orders after refusing to use defective parts. Maya knew the truth. Her dad had integrity. But that didn't matter to a man like Grant Whitmore. Today, Maya wasn't here to cause trouble. She was here to return a lunchbox her father had forgotten in his locker the day he was escorted off the premises. Inside the plant, the mechanics were buzzing about a challenge Grant had just issued. $500 to anyone who can fix the X92. It's the busted prototype from '69. No one's touched it in 30 years. I'll triple it if someone under 25 does it. Hell, I'll hire them on the spot. Most of the crew laughed. The X92 was a mechanical mystery, part aircraft, part muscle car, and fully insane. No blueprints existed anymore, and the wiring was a jigsaw puzzle wrapped in a death wish. But one person didn't laugh. Maya, as she slipped inside unnoticed, she overheard the dare, and her heart pounded. She'd spent years in her father's home garage watching him restore junkyard engines for side cash. Not just watching, learning. By the time she was 14, she could disassemble a carburetor with her eyes closed, and the X92? She knew it. Her dad used to tell her bedtime stories about that engine. He worked on its early prototypes before corporate buried it. He even had the schematics, locked away in a metal box under their kitchen sink. She couldn't walk away. "Not now." "Excuse me," she said, stepping up to the group of laughing workers. Heads turned. Silence. Grant looked her up and down. "You're not even wearing a uniform. Who are you?" "I'm Maya Brooks, Ray Brooks' daughter." That name rang through the room like a dropped wrench. "I'm just here to return something. But I'll take your dare." One of the younger engineers choked on his coffee. "Wait, what?" Grant narrowed his eyes. "You? Fix the X92? She nodded. "If I do it, I want my dad's job back. Plus your offer. Full-time hire." The room burst into low murmurs. Some chuckled. Others looked stunned. Grant's lip curled. "Fine, you've got 2 hours. And I'm not holding back. You fail, you're banned from this building. Forever." Maya stepped forward, heart pounding like a piston in overdrive. They brought her to the back room where the X92 sat under a dusty tarp. Its hood was open, engine guts exposed, wires frayed, hoses collapsed. It looked like a mechanical corpse. But Maya saw something else. Possibility. She rolled up her sleeves. For the next hour, she was a blur of motion, tracing wires, replacing gaskets, using borrowed tools. Every time someone offered help, she refused politely. She worked like a woman possessed. Her fingers moved with purpose, her brow furrowed in focus. The shop workers slowly gathered around, watching in disbelief. They expected her to give up in 20 minutes. Instead, she kept going, consulting memory, instincts, and her father's old teachings. She even whispered his voice in her head. Red wire before blue, torque before fuel. Don't rush. Listen to what the engine wants. By the 90-minute mark, she was elbow deep in fuel lines and had just replaced a hand machine valve her dad had taught her to duplicate using soda cans when she was 15. Meanwhile, in the front office, Grant was watching from a camera feed, arms crossed, increasingly uncomfortable. She wasn't bluffing. and she was about to prove it. With 12 minutes to spare, Maya wiped her hands, rechecked the seals, and walked toward the ignition switch. Everyone leaned in. Click. The engine coughed. Then, boom! Vroom! The X-92 came to life, its engine roaring deep and smooth, with a purr that sounded like history awakening from a long sleep. The room erupted. One of the older engineers dropped his wrench and muttered, "That's cleaner than it ever sounded in '69. Maya stepped back, sweat running down her neck, but her eyes were steady. The engine was still humming like a dream, but the room had gone quiet. Everyone was watching the face of one man, Grant Whitmore, the boss who just got publicly outsmarted by a teenage girl. Grant's jaw tightened. He wanted to say something, anything to dismiss what just happened. But there were too many witnesses, too many camera phones recording, and most damning of all, too much truth in Maya's words. "My daddy taught me, the one you fired last week." Grant cleared his throat. So what? He should have followed protocol. Integrity doesn't replace safety standards. But Maya didn't flinch. "He wasn't fighting safety, Mr. Whitmore. He was fighting cheapness. You replaced original steel parts with low-grade aluminum knockoffs. He warned you someone could get hurt." Grant's face flushed. That information was supposed to be private. Around the room, a few mechanics exchanged guilty looks. They'd heard rumors about the part swaps but stayed quiet. Nobody wanted to challenge the boss, not until now. Outside the garage, news had already started to spread. A junior employee had live-streamed the whole repair. On TikTok, the clip of Maya firing up the X-92 had racked up over 400,000 views in under an hour. Comments exploded with shock and praise. "Who is this girl? Black girl magic at its finest. That's what you get for underestimating her. Hire her and her daddy back." When a local news van pulled into the factory lot, the workers practically ran to meet them. Inside, Maya was trying to collect her things, but she wasn't going anywhere. Grant blocked the exit. "You're not walking away with a viral clip and a comeback story. I want answers." Maya raised a brow. "Answers? Or an excuse to avoid giving me what I earned?" He hesitated, then asked, "Where did you really learn to do that?" She folded her arms. "I told you. My dad taught me." "No," Grant said. "That engine was classified. Only 3 men in this building ever saw the original schematics. Your father was one. The others are dead," she interrupted. "Yeah, I know. But I saw those plans. When I was 9, Grant blinked." Maya continued, "He hid copies in our house. Not because he planned to steal them, but because he knew the company would bury that project. It was ahead of its time. He wanted me to remember it." Grant's eyes narrowed. "So what? You memorized a whole blueprint as a kid?" "Photographic memory," she said, calm as ever. "And you're not the only one with secrets, Mr. Whitmore." He looked shaken. Outside the bay doors, the news crew was setting up, interviewing workers, taking shots of the resurrected engine. Someone handed Maya a bottle of water. A few of the older men gave her nods of respect. But then, everything shifted. A sleek, black SUV pulled up. Out stepped a tall man in a tan coat with gray at his temples and a military posture. It was Derek Langston, head of a private aerospace R&D company, and a former engineer at Turner, the original mind behind the X-92. The crowd went silent as he walked straight up to Maya. "You fixed that?" he asked. She nodded slowly. Langston smiled. "Your father used to talk about you. Said you were smarter than him by the time you hit middle school. I thought he was exaggerating." Maya smiled for the first time all day. Then Langston looked at Grant and said flatly, "You don't deserve her." "What's that supposed to mean?" Grant snapped. Langston pulled out a business card and handed it to Maya. "You're 17, right? Come intern with us. College paid, training, mentorship, full employment the second you graduate. You're the future, Maya. And we invest in the future." Gasps all around. Grant looked like he'd swallowed a wrench. But just as Maya reached for the card, Grant spoke up again, his voice trembling, this time with bitterness. "Why are you really doing this, huh? Revenge? Your dad always thought he was better than me. He was my lead mechanic until he started playing whistleblower. Don't act like he was a saint." Maya turned and something in her expression changed. Anger, but also sadness. He was better than you, she said. Not because he was perfect, but because he never forgot where he came from. She pulled a chain out from under her shirt and showed them a small silver emblem, one with the original Turner Company seal. My grandfather helped build this factory. My dad kept it running, and now it's drowning in shortcuts and ego. Grant scoffed. That emblem's worthless now. Maybe, Maya said, her voice soft. But legacy isn't. That's when the bombshell dropped. Langston spoke up again. Tell them the rest, Maya. Maya hesitated, then took a deep breath. Grant Whitmore didn't just fire my dad. He tried to erase him. Every patent my dad co-designed, including the X-92, was quietly scrubbed. You filed them under company property. But the real designs, they were my dad's. He made sure I knew that. Langston nodded. We've confirmed the documents. Return. 1 week later, the Turner Engineering Corp boardroom had never been this full. Every executive was present. A legal team from Langston Dynamics sat on one side of the room. On the other, calm but determined, sat Ray Brooks, with his daughter Maya beside him and a civil rights attorney gripping a thick folder marked Patent Theft and Workplace Discrimination, Brooks versus Turner. Grant Whitmore sat in the center, sweat dotting his forehead. The walls were closing in. In the days following Maya's epic engine revival, the story had gone national. Black teen outsmarts auto exec in viral factory video. Detroit hero exposes corporate greed. Maya Brooks, the next big name in engineering. What had started as a dare turned into a cultural movement. Our engine queen trended on social media for 3 days straight. Maya was invited to appear on Good Morning America, and Ray, once quietly dismissed, was hailed as a genius whose legacy had nearly been buried. But the real fight was happening here, the legal showdown. Maya sat quietly watching as her father laid out the truth, emails, sketches, logged hours, even personal video recordings showing him building the X-92 prototype with his own hands. The Langston legal team then revealed something devastating. The patent for the X-92 engine filed under Turner Engineering was submitted after Ray Brooks left the development team. It used designs lifted directly from his home computer. We obtained metadata proving the files originated from the Brooks residence 6 months before company submission. Grant paled. In short, Langston's lawyer said, Turner Engineering committed corporate theft and tried to erase a black engineer's legacy for profit. The room went silent. Then came Maya's moment. She pulled a small engine part from her bag, the one she'd remachined during her factory repair. This is a one-of-one component, she said, designed by my dad. The blueprint doesn't exist in your files because he never turned it in. He trusted me with it, because he knew one day someone might try to steal his name. She placed it on the table like a mic drop. A board member leaned forward. And you fixed the entire X-92 engine based on memory? Maya nodded. Because I lived it. My dad didn't just build that engine. He built me. By the end of the meeting, the board knew it was over. Grant tried one final move, offering Ray a quiet settlement. Ray refused. I don't want silence, he said. I want credit. I want change. And I want Maya to be the face of what's next. That was the last straw. By unanimous vote, Grant Whitmore was removed as CEO of Turner Engineering. Turner Engineering was under new leadership. A partnership had been announced with Langston Dynamics to create a youth innovation division. And guess who was named as its lead youth ambassador? Maya Brooks. She now walked confidently through the factory halls where people once laughed at her. They didn't laugh anymore. They greeted her with smiles, respect, and sometimes even tears. Her father, Ray, had been rehired, not as a mechanic, but as head of historical engineering development, preserving designs once forgotten or buried. But Maya didn't stop there. Using scholarship funds and online donations, she launched the Brooks Blueprint Program, a nonprofit that trains underrepresented teens in hands-on mechanical and electrical engineering, using real tools, not just theory. The motto? We build more than engines. We build belief. At the grand reopening of the Turner plant, the mayor of Detroit stood beside Maya and Ray on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, we honor not just a father and daughter who proved their brilliance, but a family who reminded us that true legacy isn't given by corporations. It's earned through courage. The crowd roared. In the front row sat a group of teens, young girls, mostly black, some Latina, some white, all wearing coveralls with Engine Queen stitched in gold thread across the back. Maya walked over and said, "You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to believe in yourself, even when no one else does." Then in a surprise move, she hit the ignition on the fully restored X-92. It roared back to life, just like that first day. Only this time, everyone cheered. As the sun set over Detroit, Maya sat on the factory steps beside her dad, sipping iced tea. "You always believed in me, Daddy." Ray smiled, eyes misty. "No doubt. But now the world believes too." She leaned her head on his shoulder. Somewhere in the distance, another engine purred to life, one that a 14-year-old girl in a small garage had just repaired, inspired by Maya's story. And so, the legacy continued, not just in machines, but in hearts, homes, and hope.